Hello guys, welcome to the Code to Coffee. Have you ever wondered how the chat application like WhatsApp or even Instagram works? How a user can send or receive a message in the real time? So today in this video, we are going to learn the technology or the system behind it. We'll start with the basics, then we'll build a small project to understand the how the system works, how the one user can send a text to the other user and the other user can receive the text or the message in the real time. Before starting this, we'll start with the how the chat application was built in early days and the technology behind that. Okay, let's start. So in early days, to build a chat application, we use HTTP protocol, which is nothing but the hypertext transfer protocol. What happened in the HTTP protocol? A client can send a request to the server and server will respond and then the connection will be terminated. Meaning the client can request for any data and the server will respond. If closely observed, server is not at all sending to the client. So if client is requesting, then only server is responding. So it's a one-way communication, client to server. So we don't have the full duplex, means client to server or server to client. It's not there. The, the communication is from client to server. Server is just responding, not the communicating or the requesting to the client. Okay. So with the help of the HTTP, how the chat application were built in early days. So let's say client user 2 is here, like user 2 is the client and the user 1 is the client 1, right? So we can say, okay, user 2 and the user 1 want to communicate to each other. Okay, let's say if user 1 want to send the data to the user 1, if user 2 want to send the data to the user 1, how we were doing. So in that case, user 2 has to send, means have to request on this, let's say send message URL with the data, then this data will be stored at the server right here, and the server will just respond that data is saved on the server. Now user 1 has to request with the received message URL. Let's say the URL is the received message. So after hitting the request, then the server will respond this data to the user 1. But the point is, let's say user 1 is sending two data is interval of, let's say, 1 hour. But how the user 1 will understand whether there is any message for him or not? In that case, what user 1 has to do, it has to request to the server in every, let's say, 1 second. It has to do the interval of request, right? We say it the polling. Okay? We say it the polling methodology. With the polling method, user 1 has to request multiple time in an hour. So if we observe, user 2 has sent only two times, like in a 1 hour. But user 1 has to request for 60 into 60 because user 1 is polling at every 1 second, right? So we have 60 minutes and the 60 second. So 3600 seconds will be there. So user 1 has to request 3600 times, but it will get only two time of the message. So what we are actually doing, user 1 is wasting the request, right? And one more thing, user 1, whatever the data is sending to the server, it is saved at the server level. So if the user 2 is, if let's say we are increasing the users, like multiple users, so the load of the data at the server will be increased because there is nothing that the data is going flow from user to the user 1. The data is first being stored at the server, then if it is requested by the other user, then it is responding to that user. Okay. So how we were how we have solved this problem of this polling, because the wasting of the request, how we have solved. So we have solved with the help of the WebSocket. So WebSocket is also a protocol for the two-way communication. And what happened in the WebSocket? So normally it start with the HTTP request only. So the client will make a HTTP request to the server and server will respond. Then this WebSocket protocol will be upgraded. And what happened in this upgrade? Now earlier the connection was terminated. Okay, but after the upgrade, now there will be two-way full duplex communication. Now client and the server will be connected. Okay, so with the help of the WebSocket, every time client doesn't need to request to the server and the server is not responding. So now we have established the two-way communication. So with the help of the WebSocket, how modern chat application is built. Okay, so now user 2 will emit the event with the message. Okay, and user 1 will be listening on this event. every time user 2 is sending the message on this particular event, then that message will be listened by the user 1. Okay, and this is nothing but because we have to do the normal request and respond handshake, then only it will be upgraded. So once the upgrade will happen, the client and the server are connected with the full duplex, right? And similarly, user 1 is also connected with the server with the full duplex. Now every time user 2 will be emitting the message on the event, and the user 1 is listening that event. And this architecture is nothing but the event driven architecture, meaning a client can event any event, and other client can listen that event. Similarly, user 1 can also emit uh, the event, and that event, if it is being listened by the user 2, that will be coming to the user 2. Okay, so this is the WebSocket technology, or the WebSocket architecture. Now, if you see, now user 1 is not at all polling. It is not requesting every time to the server whether the data is there or not. So whenever the user 2 is emitting, at the same time, user 1 is getting the same data. Okay, so this is how the WebSocket solved the problem of the polling where we were wasting the request. Okay, let's start with the WebSocket basics. Okay, let's go to the VS Code. In the basic, what we are going to learn, we are going to learn how we will upgrade from HTTP to the WebSocket. Okay, and we are going to use the socket.io library from the Node.js. And in the socket library, what we are going to understand what is IO, what is socket, what are event, and what we will emit the event, and how we will listen the event. We will also understand the room, how we can join the room and how we can send the text to the room. But okay, first we'll start with this basics, then we'll come to this room. Okay. Okay. So to get started, what we need two packages. First thing for the HTTP, other is for the WebSocket. For the HTTP, we will use the Express framework, and for the WebSocket, as we discussed, we are going to use the socket.io. Okay, so let's install the package. That will do npm i socket.io and the Express. Okay, it got installed. Let me just remove this thing. We'll discuss one by one. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll start the normal Express application. Okay, so we'll say, okay, Express. Let me just copy paste. Okay, so we have created the HTTP, and we have created the server. Okay, and with the help of this Express application, we can create a HTTP server. And normally, what we can do, we can just simply say, okay, server dot listen on, let's say, 300. It's saying like, okay, this got server is running on the port 3000. Okay, we can also have a just a one get method. Let's just test whether it's working or not. We'll run this application with the nodemon server.js. Okay, so it will be npx. Okay, the server is running. Let's go to the postman. So we will test our application, this WebSocket, with this postman. Okay, let's send the request. We are getting that hello to the socket.io server. Now, so this server is running on the HTTP, and what we need to do, we need to upgrade. So if we'll go to the here, let me go first here, right? So first we will establish the connection between the client and the server. Then we have to do the upgrade. And how we are going to upgrade? We will upgrade by socket.io. Okay. So this is the server from the socket.io. And to upgrade, what we can do, we can just simply wrap this uh, HTTP server into socket.io. Okay, like this. Now we have upgraded the HTTP connection to the WebSocket. Now, whatever we will listening or emitting with the IO, that will be handled by the WebSocket. Okay, and whatever we are listening or getting with the server, that is handled by the HTTP protocol. Okay, let's understand what is IO and what will be the other things. Okay, okay. So whenever we are listening the connection event on the IO, so we will be getting the socket, right? That's mean if we have a two client, let's say two client, so each client is represented by the socket, one socket. That's mean IO is represented by the, you can say, the connection between any connection for the any server, and socket is nothing but the representation of any client. Okay, so whenever we will emit with the help of the IO, that will go into the all the client which is connected with this WebSocket. But if we are emitting with the socket, then the message will be going on to the particular client only. Okay, we'll understand what I said, but for now you can understand IO is nothing but the server and socket is nothing but the representation of the client. Okay, now let's say uh, we are trying to implement a second, we are trying to implement this way, right? How the user can emit the event to the server and the other user can get that message. Okay, this is we are going to implement here. Okay, okay, now after the connection happen, you can just simply log, let's say console.log, like okay, user connected with some socket ID. Okay, like this. And also we can emit to the every client, we can emit to the every client saying that okay, on this whoever is subscribing this particular connected user event will get this, that who got connected. Okay, like this, connect socket ID. Let's understand what we did here. So let's say we have a, how we can send a request to the WebSocket. You can simply use the uh, what are the methodology, right? So there's multiple way. If you want to connect with the HTTP or we want to connect with the other, we are using the socket IO, right? Simply we can use this socket IO and we can give the URL of the server, and whenever we are clicking on the connect, it got connected, right? Connected to the local host 3000, right? But we should get this particular event, right? Why we are not getting? We are not getting because we should listen on this event, right? So what we'll do in the event, we'll add this event listener like this. Now we are listening to here, right? So now every time, let's say whenever we'll say connected, we are getting okay. Now listen to the user. Now what happened? We want something that one user can send the data and the other user can receive the data, right? This is what uh, we want, right? What we can do, we can just simply create one more event for the sending of the message and one more event for the listening of the message, saying that the receiver received the message. Okay, for the sending of the message, we can create one event. We'll say the send message. So like this. Now every time whoever the client is subscribing or listening on this particular event, they will get this access, like the socket coin. Socket is whoever is socket means whoever the client is listening on this event, this message will be going to that client. Okay, we can just uh, simply say okay, listening on this particular event. Okay, now once we receive this message, we want to emit to the other users. Other users means other client who is connected with the IO, right? How we can do? We can emit with the help of the IO, right? That's mean we can do like this. Okay, let's correct it. So every time, let me just like this. Every time, every time IO will emit this data, right, to the receive message event, then it will be listened by the socket, means the other client. Let's understand how the things is working. Okay, so for that thing, what we need to do, we need to send this data to the by the client on this particular event. So let's first send this data, and what we need to send, we need to send something, username, not username, just a message, right? Like message. So in the postman, we will go there, we'll send the like this. So username and the right, we'll say it's a, and where we are sending at this receive uh, message. this. So first we'll connect. Let's clear the first we connected, the connected, and this is the socket ID, and then we will send. Now this we send on this, right? But we are getting no, right? Because we had to listen on something, receive message. Okay, this should be send message. So we are sending on this event, right? Yeah, we send on this particular event and we receive on this particular event, right? So this, if you see, try to understand what I'm trying to say. Let's disconnect everything, clear, and this is also clear, this is also clear. Okay, let's say this is our one client, this is other client. Okay, this is also connected, this is connected, and this is also connected. Now you can consider like one user is connected, other user is connected, so two user is connected. If we are sending this data on this event, right, and we are sending here, right, you can see. So if you see here the other client, we are getting here as well. Why we are getting here? Because we are listening this receive message for each here you can see we are receiving for the each of the connection for the IO, right? But this is only sent by only one socket. One socket means one client. So if we will send the data from this client as well, so let's say from here we are sending like this, and we'll say that okay, user 2 and the user 2, and here we can say send message, right? Is something okay, here we need to select as a JSON and we'll send. So now because we sent from the user 2, okay, it should be received by the user 1 as well, right? You can see user 1 is also receiving the message. So now we can understand, okay, one user can communicate with the other user. Other users means, let's explain you again. Now let's say this user got connected. For now, let me just remove these things we don't want. Okay, it just got connected. We are not doing anything. Okay, so whenever we are sending from this user, one user, right? One user. If you see, user 2 is also got this message, like message from the user 1, and user 3 also got the message from the user 1. And if you're sending from the user 2, same message from the user 2 should go to the user 1. Here we are getting the user, and to the user 3 as well, right? That's mean now one user is able to communicate to the other user with the help of the socket IO, right? So this is the concept of the IO. IO represent each connection, means every connection. Socket represent only one client connection, right? Because this is for the each all the connection. That's why this is sent to the every client, right? Okay, now let's understand the what is the socket ID. Okay, so whenever any socket, any client, let's say this is the client, this is one client, this is second client, this is third client. Whenever any client is trying to connect with the WebSocket, it will generate one ID called the socket ID for the each client, so that the our server can understand who who is the client. Okay, and this is useful, we'll understand later. This is useful for the private communication. Okay, but before that thing we'll understand the other concept, like what is this event emit and what is on. Okay, emit is nothing but we are sending the data. On is nothing but the listening the data, but it's not exactly like requesting or responding. It's a emit for particular event. So if this is the event we are emitting on this event, so it will always go on this particular event only, it will not go to the other event. So meaning we have to listen this particular event. If you are not listening, let's say we are not listening here let's say, and we are trying to send from here, right, from the other user, we are sending from here, but whether we are getting, no, we are not getting. Why? Because we are not listening. So let's listen and we'll see. After listening, if we'll try to send by the other user, you see now it is listening. Okay, so what we understood, emit means sending the data, and on means listening on particular event. Okay, now let's understand the other thing. Okay, now what we have seen, because we are sending this data whenever on this send message event, the data is going to the every connected client, right? Every connected client, whether if it is connected. And what we want, no, we want like, okay, whenever we send this data on some event, it should go only those client whoever in some room, meaning in a specific room. And room means nothing but we want, like we have some feature in the WhatsApp like group messaging, right? So a person who is the part of that group can send a message and can see the message, right? The other person, other user cannot see, even that person is the contact. So this kind of feature we want. We want okay, one, two, three. These three can communicate in separately, which that message should not coming to here, the fourth one, right? Or maybe we can connect one more here. So one, two, three are connected with the one group, and we can say these two can connected with the other group. So they can communicate in particular group, and these three can communicate in particular group. Nothing but a group like WhatsApp. Okay, let's implement this. To implement this, what we have in WebSocket, we say it's the room. Okay, so whenever any socket want to create join the room, basically whenever we are joining the room, the WebSocket will automatically create a room. And how we can do? We can do something like, okay, we have one event. Let's say we say the uh, we can say join the room, right? Join the room. So if any client is hitting on this particular event, they are basically we have functionality. Okay, any user is hitting on this particular event, we have create a room for that particular client, right? And if we are doing that thing, what we need two things: the name of the room, and we just need to join. So after using this, we will get this room, the name of the room or anything that represent the room, right? Let's say like this, and we can say okay, socket now join that room with the name of the room, right? Like this. What we can do, we need to hit this join room event from here, right? So if we go there and we'll try to send this event, and this it's not connected. Okay, let's first connect this one, connect this one, connect, and one connect. Okay, and what we'll say, okay, let's connect with the name of the room is, let's say, coder. Okay, coder with the text they hit. So now this client is got connected with this particular coder. Now we want that, okay, this one and this one also should have the connected with the same room, right? We'll say again, okay, you also join room of the coder. This got joined. Let's say here coder. Let's say join the room. What it is saying? Okay, it should be text. Join the room. Okay, so one, two, three. These three clients are connected with the one room, that is the coder. And if you see this, let's say connect with the uh, what we can say lead with the join room. Okay, this connected with the lead. Let me connect with this one as a lead. Okay, so these two are connected with the lead, and these three are connected with the room. Now they can communicate, they can send a data to each other, and these two can send a data to each other, but these three cannot see the data of these two, and these two cannot see the data of these three. Okay, let's establish how it is working. So after joining this room, every time if any socket is trying, any client is trying to send a data on particular room, how it will send? We can send by io dot, let's say, to the name of the room, and you can simply emit like this. And let's say what we can say, okay, just a second, like this. And here we can say, okay, we can create one more event for the sending. You can say receive room from message. Okay, and anyway, instead of emitting here, we can emit separately. if anyone is sending the message on particular room, like this. Okay, socket on the send room. So we need to give the room and we need to give the message. Two things it will expect, and will send to only that particular room. Okay, let's just save it and we'll see here. So how we can do? We can do by the argument. Okay, one argument is nothing but the we need what we need uh, room, and the other argument we need the message. Message is nothing but like this. And for now, what we can okay, we want to just emit the message, right? So you can just simply socket ID we can say, right? Let's say socket ID. We will send like similar. Let's say how we were sending. Okay, it's not here. So for now, what you can do? So first will be like coder, the name of the room, and this will be nothing but the text we can say, where we say the, okay, username. Let's say user one, user one. This is nothing but a this from user one to coder room. It can send like this. And because it got disconnected, right? Okay, let me just first connect this one, this one, this one, this one, and then join this coder room. Clear message. This got joined the coder room, and this also got joined the coder room. This also got joined the coder room. This one got joined the lead room. This one got joined the lead room. Now user one want to send the data to on a particular room, right? We'll send this by this. Argument one is nothing but the room. Argument two is nothing but the message. This is nothing but, here you can see argument one is the room. Second argument should be the message, and we should send to the this particular event, right? Like this. So the event name should be like this. But when it will be coming? This will be coming whenever we'll be listening on the receive room message. So we are receive room message. Let me just create receive room message, and also listen here receive room message. So here if this and here the room message. Okay, here also receiving, here also receiving, here also receiving, here also receiving. Right, now let's send on this send room. So we are sending this message to the only for the coder room, right? So we should get this message, this particular message, to only these two, right? Not these two. If you see here, we are receiving, right, from user. This is nothing but the socket ID. Message is nothing but the user one and something like this. Okay, here you can see. But if you see here, we are not getting, right? Because this is in the different room. This is joined the lead room, right? Lead room. Also, we are not getting here. So what you can do, we can send, let's say, argument here. Similar like this. Let me just copy to here. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say I'm saying user 4 is sending to the lead room like this. Okay? And this is nothing but the what was the event name? It's the send room message. You can just send it. Now this message should go to here as well, right? You can see message from the this one for the lead room, but this message is not coming to here, right? Can you see? Yeah. So we can understand like, okay, these three are in a one group, these two are in a one group. So this is how the WhatsApp group works. Now let's say we understand, okay, this is able to send on particular group, this is able to send to the particular group, and prior to that we have understand this one, that okay, we can send to the everyone. Now we'll understand how one user can send to the other user, only other user, right? We can say it is a private uh, messaging. Okay, we'll 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 understand these things. Okay, so we'll create for the private messaging, we'll create a event. Let's say the send private message for the sending. and for the receiving, we'll create an event for the receive private message. Okay, so how we can create? We'll say okay socket dot, because we are sending from the postman from here, so that should be listened by the sockets, right? And we can say okay send private message like this. And while because we are sending to the private message, what we need a target, basically the socket ID of to whom we are going to send, and what is the message, right? So we can say okay target ID and the message we'll get. Okay, and once we get, we need to send to the other the user who is connected, who is joined this particular target ID, right? Target ID, and we are going to emit. And what we are going to emit? We are going to emit on the receive private message. And here you can just simply say okay from then the message, right? Like this. From is nothing but the socket username, we can say, and the message is nothing but the just a message, right? Like this. You can say like this. Now let's run this. So before running, you might have doubt. Okay, so because for the private we had to do, because here we are able to send to the this room. Why we are able to send? Because we have already joined on that particular room, right? Before joining, this will be not working, right? But when we are saying join IO to the target ID, but we are not joining anyway, right? We are not joining. How this will work? This shouldn't work before joining, right? The answer is whenever the socket is connected, whenever a client is connecting, it will be automatically joining. So basically, the line will be something like okay, like socket dot join with nothing but the socket ID, socket dot ID, like this. This will be like this. Okay, this will be already implemented whenever any socket is connected with the IO. So we do not need to write this code. Okay, we do not need to write this code. And if we will write this code, again this will work. So whether we are writing this code or not writing, it will be automatically joining with this socket ID room every time for every socket. Okay, let's run this. Okay, to test this, what we need two things for sending the data on particular socket and particular what I should say the client. We need this event, and for listening we need this event. Let's register this on the listening. So let's go to the postman and okay, let's first receive private message. I think it's already there. Receive private message. Here receive private message. Here receive private message, and the private message we need to add receive private message. Okay, so just clear all the things from you. Okay, let me okay, now for test what we need the event send private message, right? We need to send this one. So let me just connect first every client. Okay, so what is the ID? So we have four, like four, yes. And this is nothing but the adjent. So this will be the ID of the this client, and this will be the ID of this client. But we don't know which one is our client. Okay, what we can do, we can just uh, listen. Okay, what is my ID? Okay, because we are confused, like which one is the ID for which one. So there are multiple. So which ID is for this particular client? We need to understand. We need to know, right? Then how we'll send. So what we can do, we can create one more event for what is my ID and for that thing, right? So simply what we can do, we can add for this like this. So whenever we will listen this my ID, we'll send this my ID, we'll get our socket ID, right? So what we can do, and just let me just my ID is there, my ID is there, ID is there, ID. Let me just connect. Now, what is the my ID for here? So let me first just remove this one, and we want nothing or anything we can add, but more specifically, we want my ID, right? We'll send this one. So for this client, the my ID is this one. For this client, this is the ID. For this client, what should be the ID? This is for this ID, and so let's say this one. One and that again. My ID, right? So just ignore this one because this is nothing to do anything. If you're not sending anything, you'll not get. So just focus on this thing. Okay. Now we want to send from here to here. Okay, from user one to user two, user three. Let's say. So we need this one, right? Because this will be the target. So we'll send it in the argument. This is our target. Okay, sorry. Argument one should be the target, and argument two is nothing but our text of whatever the user we have sent, right? Let me see if you have like this. So here you can say, okay, this is user one, and message from user one to, you can say, user three, user three, or you can also give the target is nothing but this one to understand better. Okay? You can say. Now, where we need to send? We need to send at the send private message, right? Send private message. Here is our event, like this. Now we have sent this one on here. From here to here, it should come at this only, not here, not other. If we'll see here, we are able to see no. Yes, we are able to see no. Let me see why it's not coming. Okay. Okay. Sorry. So my bad. Now again, let's send it. Now we have sent. This is a private message. We are not getting anything here. We are not getting anything here. Why? Are we listening on the receive private message? Okay. Just a second. Okay. Let's again do it, and we'll send this one on here. So we should get here, right? So can you see? We are getting from the user 2 to the user 3, and if you see, this one is matching, this ID is matching with the ID of this here, right? So this is how we can do the private. But if you see, we are not getting this message to the other places, right? Can you see? We are not getting to the other places because this is the private communication between the two users, right? So this is how we can establish. And one more thing, because here we can join the room, right? Similarly, we can have a leave the room feature. Okay, let's say we can join any group and we can exit from the group. If we want to achieve that thing like exit of the group, we can use with the help of the leave the group. Okay, it's a simple thing. And what you can do, instead of join, we can use the leave. So let me just do like this on the leave group, LEAV. Here you can just simply like this. So simply you can test it out. Okay, so this was the features, basic things about the WebSocket IO. Basically, what we have learned here, the IO means each connection to the server. The socket means client specific, right? Whenever we are saying socket, means we are talking about the client. Socket on means we are listening on the client on this event. IO means we are sending to the every client. Socket means we are joining on particular client. Okay, so the normal thing, whenever we are sending to the IO means whoever the client is connected, right? This will help us to send the message to the any other socket, right? Now let's understand how we can, I mean, to understand, we understand the basics, right? Now we'll build a small project, okay, to understand better how it will work. Because in the Postman we understood the basic features, the basic functionality, how the socket IO functionality, but how we can implement any chat application with the help of these basics, right? Okay, let's start. So first we will start with like one user can send a message to the every user. This we can implement. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to code line by line. I've already the code. We'll understand the code. So I've created the simple web application with just a simple index.html. Here we'll have something like whoever the typing and whoever the online. Okay. And in server, I have something like whatever we just understood. We need to create the connection, and each socket will register. Basically, a user can register to just understand, okay, the username. Okay, on each registration, we'll take it, okay, that user is the online. That's why it created one object where all the user of registered user will be there, right? And we say is the, okay, this user is the online. And whenever this is the general message, so whenever any user is sending a message, that message will be emitting to the all other user. Okay, like this. And also we have the type indicator. We have seen in the WhatsApp, whenever we are typing, the other can see that, okay, we are typing. That feature also we have enabled. Okay, and that's it. And we have like disconnect as well. So whenever someone is leaving that application, we'll say it, okay, that user has got disconnected. Okay, so let's see how this will work. And this is our web application. So let's say we have two user connected. One is this user. Okay? We have another user like this. We have three users like this. And we are saying, okay, user one. This is the user one who is going to join the application, right? Like this. So who is the online? Only user one is the online. Here you can see only one user. Here also you can see only one user. And you can say, okay, user two is also want to join. User two is got joined, right? So now these two can interact. So now if user one want to send to the all, right? Let's say I'm sending this message user to all, right? Like this. Now this message which is from the user one is sent to the all. You can see here, we can see, right? Okay, this message we got from the user one. Here we got like, okay, user one is from here. Of course it's not online, but yeah, you can say like, okay, user three, like this. Now if you see here, um, where like let's say I'm typing here something. Okay, just a second. Yeah. Now if you see, we are trying to send from user one to user to all. Okay, this is for all. You can send this data. You can see other users are also getting this data, right? And because our cursor is still here, so you can see the user one is typing, right? You can see this is similar to whenever you are typing in the WhatsApp. So we can see the indicator as like the typing. Okay, so this is nothing but one user to the all user. Let's implement the group. Okay, where we have talked about like how a particular how a user can send data in a particular group. Okay, so we'll implement this the group, the help of the join. Okay, the room joining. Okay, so what I have added just this line of code for the room messaging. Okay, so with the help of this joining room, we can join any user into the room, and with the help of this code we can send any data, any message only in that particular room. And yeah, of course I'll attach this code to the description. But for now, what we are trying to understand, we are trying to understand how we can create a group with the help of the room feature of the socket. Okay, with the help of the room feature and the join. So now our front end will be look like this. Here the room chat. Okay, so any user can join any room, and if we are sending the message in particular room, it will be sent to their own. Okay, let me create one more user, and we'll say the user 4. Okay, let's say user one in the coder room, right? In the coder, he is joining the coder. If you see, nothing is able to see. I mean, other user is not able to see, right? You can see other user is not able to see. Now if I'll say, okay, user 2 is also in the coder, right? Like here. Now because this user was already in particular room, that's why it can see, okay, user 3 also joined the coder room. And let's say this one I want to join in the lead room. He can see, but other cannot see, right? But if it will try to join the lead room, user 4, the user 3 can see, okay, user 4 also joined the room. Okay, now so we can say, okay, message from user 1 for coder room, right? You can see. So this particular message is for the coder room, right? Because this user joined the coder room, so it should coming to this here as well, right? Because this user will also joined the coder room. But this message shouldn't go to the other users, right? Here you can see we are not able to see that message, right? But if we are sending from here for the lead, let's say similar message, I'll type message from the user 4 for the lead room. Let's say for the lead room, and we send it. Now this message is, you can see here as well, right? But this message we will not see in the user 1 and the user 2, right? Because these two, user 1 and user 2 in a one group, that is the coder, and the user 3 and the user 4 in another group, that is the lead. Okay, this is how uh, the WhatsApp work for the group creation. Okay, now let's understand the private, how only one user can talk to the only other user, right? Because this is now the group. If this user will join the coder group, coder room, right? Now if I'm sending same message, now this same message will be sending to all the three here as well, right? Here you can see, here as well, correct? Here we'll not see because this one did not join. So this is nothing but the group. But what we want, okay, we want that, okay, from user 1 to the user, other user can send privately. How we can do that thing? Let's see. Okay, so here I added the code for the private only. Okay, where we have a code stop, not this for the join, this is for the join, this is for the private. Okay, so I created the event for the private message for sending, and for the receiving is also the same, the private message. So this is the event that we are going to use for the private messaging. Now a user 1, this is the user 1 is trying to send for the user 3. So what we can say, okay, give me the username. Okay, we want to send to the user 3, and this message is nothing but user 1 to user 3, right? Like this. Now can you see, we did not get any message after sending, right? Even to here. But if you see here, this also we did not get because this is the user 2. And if you see here, the user 4 also did not get the message. But if you see the user 3, we can see, okay, the message is coming from user 2 to user 3, right? Similarly, you can do anything. Like let's say from here to, we want to send to the user 2, okay, from user 1 to user 2. You can do it like this. You can see here we can get it that user 1 to user 2, which is a private. Okay, that's mean this message should not be sent to here, and this should not be sent to here. Okay, so let's go to again our here. Now we understood how a user can directly emit the message to the server, right? And the other user can listen on the message. Okay, now the two question. Okay, we solve it with the help of the WebSocket. Correct. So now the question one. You can say question one is there any other method? Is there any other way to implement, right? And the question two is, what is the problem? What is the problem with our approach? Okay, what is the problem with the approach? Now, this two question you guys going to explore. Like, is there any other way to implement? I can give you the hint. Like, okay, there's something called SSE, the server side event. So nowadays, we do not need to use the WebSocket. We do have the SSE, which is nothing but the server side event. So the server can send the event to the user. So that SSE also can be used for the WebSocket. Why WebSocket not? Because WebSocket creating the full duplex connection is pretty costly, okay, expensive connections. And with the help of the SSC, we reduce that connection cost. Okay. The problem, what is the problem with this approach? So now let's understand what if user 1 is trying to send the user 2, right? But in the production environment, we will have always the multiple server is running, right? Multiple server is running. Let's say user 1 is connected to the with the server 1, right? And user 2 is connected with the server 2, and this server 1 and server 2 is nothing but the replica, right? Replica, exactly the same code. Now if user 2 will be emitting to this server, but user 1 is listening on this server, how the data flow will be there? Because till that time user 2 was emitting to the server, this server, right? It was easy for the user 1 to get listen on the particular event. Now the server is the different. This user is connected with the one server, this user is connected with the other user. How the data flow will be coming from here to here? Now that's a question. This is the problem with this approach. Now I can give you a hint. We say the pub sub method to resolve this issue. Let's say we can use the redis pub sub method. So what we do here, whenever the we are emitting any, user one will be emitting this message to here, that this message will be get stored to here in the redis, and the other user which will be subscribing this event of this user, then this will be coming, this message will be coming to this user, okay, via Redis. So this is nothing but the Redis. Now this will be, now this will be coming to the Redis, and this will be going from the Redis like this, like this. So yeah, that's all about the WebSocket. We have learned the basic of the WebSocket. We have uh, developed a small project. I'm going to attach this code for this project so you can explore, and you can, if you have any suggestion, you can also code it out. So that's all, guys. Thank you so much.